So you trying to figure out how to wholesale real estate, but it's like, man, even if I find somebody, what do I say? Like, how do I get them under contract? Like, how do I get somebody to sign this piece of paper that says that they're gonna sell their house to my company or with me? Right. So today we're gonna talk about how you close on a seller, right? How do you come in for the takedown? How do you go? How do you get them to sign that paper that you're going to be able to end up flipping and making 10, 20, 30, $50,000 on? So stay right here. We're going to go through the whole process, break it all down, show you what you need to say, how you need to say it, different type of situations, different type of people, give plenty of tips and answer any questions you got about how to put people under contract. So what's going on, Cordero, man? How you feeling today?
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of tired. Tired, dude. But we at it. We back at it again, dude.
Cordero the cleaner, man. There's no such thing as being tired, right?
I don't know if that's a part of it. I think it's when you get tired, you get tired. You know what I mean? It's not about not getting tired. Just like being a man is not about feeling weakness or not crying. It's like, what do you do in spite of all of that? That's what, or being courageous or having courage is not about not feeling fear. Is what you do in spite of the fear. Essentially, like moving forward. Because speaking of, it's just like, yeah, I'm tired, been tired, but since last week, was it last? Probably like since Friday and over the weekend, I probably got like, dude, I don't know, 4 or 5 people on
He
the
going in. He going in.
contract, man. I got two more people that want to go on the contract today. So how it's getting. I want to be clear. I think with this video, man, just for the sake of like, we got a lot of videos on talking to sellers, and we'll continue to do more content on talking to sellers. But I want to get narrowly focused in this video with how do you get them under contract. So assuming I'll be a little bit presumptuous, assuming that you know a little bit other information, I'll be brief and we'll touch over those. We're not going to break down the whole conversation, but the part, what are some tactics that you can use once you got that person ready to ensure that they sign?
Yeah. Or
Because
even to get them ready, like it's like, dude, how do you prep this
yeah,
meal, dude?
that's that's major, dude, because it's not just about, okay, everything else is something separate and then getting them to sign is another thing. It's just like, I'm trying to get them to sign from the top of the call. I'm setting the expectation from the very beginning, from the outset, so that way we can actually get there. So it's like, it's all just like a marketing funnel. Your conversation is a funnel, and I
Yeah.
kind of use something similar to Jordan Belford's, The Wolf of Wall Street. Not the Wolf of Wall
Not out.
Street,
Not
but
Wall Street.
the Wolf of Wall Street. I use his, like, what he has called a straight line process. I like that sales model where it's like you're direct. Everything is like a, but whatever. But it's like talking about that, because you can have a good conversation with a seller. You can build some decent rapport with that person, and you can get what seems like a fruitful conversation all fall into place, and then they just don't sign it.
Yeah.
So what do you do to avoid that and to negate going through that too many times? We'll talk about that today.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we're gonna get into it, man. So y'all stay right here. Let's get to it. Zay, what's up, man? Zay out there in the land. In
Zay
the land.
Zay Tiggy. Listen,
Hey, Tiggy out in the land, baby. What's going on out there with Scoot Henderson, man? Uh,
listen,
but
Zay, the impression that he does real estate, but he also can make a fire beat. That's a
yeah.
possibility. I got the vibe just from, you know what I'm saying? But, you know,
What's going on, Zay? But yeah, man, let's get right into it, man. So Cordero been killing it, man, putting properties under contract. And shoot, man, I'm trying to keep up with him, man. I gotta get these things sold. So like that's the goal. That boy gonna be cold. Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, Cordero the cold.
nah,
but uh but yeah, man. So with putting these properties under contract, like how do you prep this meal? It's like, what pots do you use? You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, what do you put in this pot first? Like, how are you ending up, being able to whoop up these, meals back to back? Like, my wife cooked like every single night almost, but it's like, dang, it's like you made something great this night, and this night. It's like, man, it's like, dude, it's like, how do you prep these meals to be, on point? Bam, 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 bam.
Dude, you know what? That's a good point, man. And shout out to Miss Scott, for holding the house down. But
holding it down, man.
I actually do like to cook, and I think I would liken it. I think that's actually a very good analogy. I would liken the process, if you know how to cook. It's not I can't do it every night. That's one thing. I'm not on that level yet. You know what I'm saying? But when I got the time and I could put it in, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put a real meal together. When you're doing that, it's like, I'm not gonna use for one recipe and another, I'm not gonna use the same pots and pans. I'm not gonna use the same dishes, I'm not gonna use the same ingredients. I'm not going to use the same cooking times. I might be on the stove top one time and I might be in the oven with another dish. But one thing is for certain, there is a process that pretty much is similar, right? And that's what I would like, how you would break down the straight line method, in the sense that, for example, you always going to prep your food first. You can't cook it before you prep it. Well, some of y'all don't be seasoning y'all. But if you want a good meal, it's like there's prep. You got to cut the vegetables up. You're gonna have to season your food, let it marinate. If that's the case, preheat the oven, heat up the grill, get the stove top, get the right oil, all those things, and then you start to cook, and then you layer it on. This is important. Like, I'm gonna switch this analogy over. Stick with me here. I'm gonna switch this over to get people under contract. But some dishes you layer the flavors on. It's like, you can't just boil your rice, or you could toast your rice first and then boil it, and that'll give it a totally different flavor. It's like, you can just put the seasonings in, or you could toast them with the oil, and then you put this on and you cook that for a little bit, then you add these different ingredients as the dish goes on until it's a complete marriage in the pot. All right. And likewise with this, some things you might not put into the pot until the very last, maybe like 5 minutes of cook time. Like, I ain't never made no oxtails, but I know when it comes to putting the beans in the oxtails, you don't put the beans in the oxtails the whole way while you cooking the oxtails.
Man,
them is something you put in at the last part of the recipe, and then they soak up a lot of the flavor even still, though, right? Some things you put in, but you prep them in the beginning.
Hey, man, you done brought up oxtails, man. You can't, man, you can't bypass.
I already know you on a journey, dude. I'm about to trigger a PTSD moment.
No. Dude, I can't remember the last time I ate like pork or beef. You know what I'm saying? My wife basically almost got me being a vegetarian on the low, like, because I eat everything she cooked. She only cooking like chicken and fish, so it's like she ain't cooking no pork and no beef. So it's like, I don't even eat that. But man, when I used to eat them, dude. Man, the oxtails, man. Oh man. But go ahead, my bad, man. I had to.
You the right dish will bring up PTSD for some people, man.
I've been
a vegetarian for years, but I also still appreciate just the art of cooking, right? Just the art of putting together a dish. Now, Zay, you said you was a chef too.
Man.
I forgot about that. So Zay know what I'm talking about. It's just like, when you putting it together, it's like processes is in a certain way that you can do it that's going to get you a different outcome of every meal that you make, right? You can use the same ingredients. You can use oxtail, and you're still not going to get like the traditional Jamaican stewed oxtail if you grill it. I know a dude who grilled them out in Texas. Shout out to Les Barbecue. He going in, and that's not the same. You know what I mean? But my point of now, follow me in. Likewise, when you're talking about this call, you're going to want to instill some information at the top of the call. Hi, how are you? I'm making sure I got the right person. And hey, just wanted to make sure you're the decision maker. If we can get the process, if we can get everything that you're looking for today, can we get the process started today? All that I'm doing, I'm prepping the meal. I'm prep the intro. I'm prepping the meal, because this is what I really hate is when I'm cooking something, and because some things you got to cook at certain temperatures or whatever, so it's just like timing is important. You got to throw some stuff off in there, like I need it now. So if I'm like, dang, I forgot to cut up the onion, I got to literally turn the pan down so I don't burn everything else, and like cut up the onion, and then I got to turn the heat back up and then put the onion in there so it can cook like it was supposed to, right? And that's frustrating. So if you say, man, I forgot to ask him, is he the only decision maker on the call, right? And then you at the end of the call right now, and you're trying to get some numbers worked out, you're trying to get them to sign, and they say, well, let me talk with my wife and I'll call you back. You're like, what? No. Time kill. When they say time kills all deals, I think what they really mean is after you come to an agreement, the amount of time before a verbal agreement and a signed contract, that's what they mean that deals are killed in that.
Well, I think it's at all times. So it's like at any stage of the deal, if there's time, like if you can shrink the time, always shrink the time. So it's like, even when it's like it's all the way locked up and you're finna go to closing, it's like we got to deal with closing on Friday. Anything can happen between now and Friday. The house could burn down. This like stuff, dude. I've seen some stuff happen, man. You know what I'm saying? Chris could have something crazy, like the tenant can have something crazy happen, and now he got to stay there, and now they saying, "Oh no, we can't do it." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Time kills all deals at any stage of the deal. The follow-up time, you won't follow up. Oh man, like dude.
For sure. You know what I'm saying? That's like, yeah, for sure. Like anything. That's why we always say it's like your deal ain't closed until it's closed, right?
Yeah.
But what I mean is just like, because some people you got to follow up with them. Like with, for example, a Robert Gittleman. Like Robert hasn't. The biggest thing is it's like, if I wait too long to follow up, then he done sold it to somebody else. But I'm following up, but he still ain't sold it to nobody else. So, with him, he just needed that time. You want to push to eliminate as much time as you can, wherever you can control it. But there are times where you can't control it, but you just still be diligent and still be in the right place at all times, right? But what I'm talking about here is that is one element of time killing the deal, and you can't control it, but you can do your best to mitigate it if you prep the food right. If you prep everything the right way from the beginning, from the outset, then you're setting yourself up for success. And to mitigate, I gotta go talk to somebody else, or let me think about it. I just told you at the beginning of the call, when I was prepping the vegetables, I was saying, if we can get everything, we can come to an agreement, can we get the process started today? I already asked you that, and you already said yeah. So let me think about it. Shouldn't come up, right? And so this is actually what I would call that your ABCs. For those of you who know, it's a sales term, always be closing. Always be closing. And you really I think you really understand this term a lot if you've ever been in sales, but you wasn't a closer. And that wasn't me for years. What it is the difference between somebody who's actually like, I'm having this conversation to get you locked up. From the beginning, everything that I do, every word that I say, all the directions, all the rapport building, everything that we do is for the intentions to get you to sign a contract. And I intend that. And then there are some people where you call them, where we in the sales world, we just call them order takers. I'm just talking just to talk. We are just talking, actually. And honestly, I'm kind of scared to get you under contract because I don't know what's going to come after that. That's what the difference between always be closing or somebody who just like, well, sometimes you just got to sit back and marinate your meat and just relax and just you don't let your meat marinate for too long, dog. You need to put it on the grill, right? Yeah. You don't cook all the vegetables, they diced up nice and fine. It's time to put it on the grill. And so the difference ultimately is your intention. Because I've been on both sides of that coin. Some people are just natural closers and they just cannot wrap their mind around the fact that some people just don't know how to close. And then some people are just naturally trash your boy right here, and they never push past their own barriers and limits to walk into that closer, mindset. So when they say always be closing, is set your intention that I'm going to get a contract, and when it comes down to the wire, you're not afraid to ask for the close. You're pushing for the close. You're trying everything to get a close. The difference, we'll talk about it. Like, you'll know the difference between a closer and a talker or an order taker is somebody who's on the phones, who's just, so, hey, you just want to have conversations. Your goal when you're cold calling isn't to find a deal or to close the deal. Your goal is just to not get hung up on. Two different mindsets. And dude, you can not get hung up on all day long, but you need to be thinking to close. That's the difference, right? And so, again, that was the intro that we just covered. You got the intro, and I think it's the intro, you got your body, and then the latter half. But I think once you got those things set up from the beginning, you got everything put in the right place. Hey, you're qualifying. If everything can get worked out, can we close? Is this person even ready to go? Like, what you wouldn't do is turn on the stove if you didn't thaw out the meat first. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't just go right to just turn the stove on, turn all of this on, and dog, I ain't even seen if the meat was thawed. You remember back in the day when your mama called you and she was at work and she was just like, hey, thaw that.
Take that meat out.
Meat out, and you hear her keys at the door, bro. You be like, oh, no, it's over. It's the end. This last day for me. But it's just like, you got to know, you got to prep, make sure that you're ready, and that is big. So the qualification part, and that's, hey, can we close? Are you the only decision maker? I'm asking those questions up front before they become a problem. If you try to pull those, they're going to see what you're trying to do, and they're going to maneuver around you. They're going to have the upper hand. So you have to play chess.
It's really like establishing clear expectations up front. It's like, one, the expectation is, okay, if we agree on price, if we agree on terms, can we move forward today? Right? You kind of set an expectation of, hey, if I can get you what you're saying that you're looking for, can we move forward? Like today, and you creating some type of urgency. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like in closing, you got to create some type of urgency. Otherwise, it'll be drawn out. And the further it's drawn out, like Cordero was saying, time kills all deals, right? So it's like you creating that sense of urgency for one. Mm-hmm. You're figuring out, is there anybody else that's going to have to make a decision? Because even if I convince you, if there's somebody else, then I haven't convinced who I need to convince. Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if they own the paperwork. It don't matter if it's their dog, their cat, it doesn't matter what it is or who it is. It doesn't matter how unrelated they is to the situation. If they say that this person got to be cool with it, or this person got to be a part of this decision, then you need to address them, because if you don't, you're going to go through convincing that person, and then you still ain't convinced everybody you need to convince.
Yeah, dude. And, ultimately what ended up happening is you convince that person, and even if you thoroughly reason with them, like they're sold on the idea, but they just know, like, dang, I still kind of want more, or this or that. They could just use that person, the other person too. It's just like establishing those clear expectations up front is ultimately important for everything that Byron said. But also, even if it wasn't any actual reasonable thing, like you need to help the second person understand, then they could just be using that person as like a negotiation tactic or leverage. But it's really no other person involved. Let me ask my partner. I've seen it, because you got to step inside out of your perspective and try to understand the seller's perspective from their shoes. Last night or recently, I had a person who was, it was a woman. Her name was on the paperwork, and it was all her, but they're a couple though. Like, she had her husband need to kind of help, they make all these decisions together. And it's just like, I'm sure some of us could understand or identify what that's like. Like, even if, my partner, my partners, we make every decision together, but my partner has like a house that they're selling or something that they're doing, we would talk about that because it is ultimately going to affect us, right? And so I get that. But also on the other side, I've talked to some sellers who, like, for example, actually it was a family member of mine, and he had a property. He said people was reaching out to him about the property, right? It was a commercial property. People was reaching out to him, and he was just like, they was talking about these numbers and that numbers and these numbers. And he said he wasn't even trying to sell it anyway. He was just trying to see what they would offer him. So he told me he was intentionally wasting their time. And so what he did was he got all the way down to a number. They said, like, he said a number. It's like, man, if you can give me this number, we can talk about something. He said the dude left, called him back the next day and said, hey, we can do that number all day long. He said, let me talk to my wife. My family member said that. He said, let me talk to my wife. And then he said, he looked it up and saw that he could have got more. So he called him back and said, hey, my wife not good on that. My wife said we got to do double. But the whole time, his wife don't make no, in that situation, his wife wasn't making no decisions. He was using her as a negotiation tactic or just as a tactic to waste that person's time because he was just playing with that person. He didn't really have intentions. So establishing clear expectation from the beginning is meat for the soul when it comes to getting people on the contract. And I spend big time on that because people think getting people on the contract is all about the signing the paperwork, sign the paperwork. But my tactic is just like, if we're setting that expectation from the beginning, if we get everything right in the middle, that's my biggest thing is when we get everything right and then we get down there and then they got all these excuses not to sign the paperwork. It's like, dude, I thought everything was going so well. So you need to set these things up front. Do that. If you know you're trying to close somebody, just know. And I don't necessarily mean on a cold call or an initial discovery call or anything like that. I'm not talking about like, because again, we talked about the funnel, but I'm talking about it's an acquisitions call, it's a qualified lead and it's somebody that you're wanting to get under contract, then by all means, get that information out the way up front, right? And then we're going into the body of the call. The body of the call, again, is just getting the right information, condition about the property, time, motivation. And honestly, we can break this down, get real granular just to take it in detail to sales, period, and how important it is to, shout out to Stack, man, sales, period, and how important it is to just get the information out of the person, not just the basics, because even if you're selling property, even if it was a car, okay, we can talk about the car all day long, but let me talk about what your situation is, right? What's really going on? What is the ultimate best? Because getting them to sign a contract also means by the time I get a contract over to you, the offer, and it's not just the price, because if it was just about price, it would just be a piece of paper that says, we're going to buy the property for this price, and that's all. It would just have a number on it and a signature at the bottom and a signature, two signatures, mine and yours. But it's not. It's so many other things that are involved in an actual offer. Even on our one pager, we just got a one pager. It's so many other things that are involved that'll make the seller feel confident enough and say, well, I ain't got no choice but to sign, right? I don't have no choice but to close because the offer was put together so well, right? Shout out to Alex Hormozi's $100 million offer. And it's about being able to layer all the benefits that your person is looking for, right? And I'll give this a brief breakdown because Alex Hormozi, essentially, he talks about how you put together, you find a target avatar customer, and then based upon, you do surveys on your avatar, and then you put together offers that at most like 90% of all the people who fall into that group want, right? And then you figure out exactly what they want and pitch it to them. So that way they look at it and it's just an offer so good, they will feel what Alex Hormozi says, they will feel stupid saying no to it, right? But on these calls, these traditional sales calls, oftentimes, especially depending on how you want to reach, we're not necessarily niching down. I mean, we do have some targets where the type of person that we're dealing with just kind of we run into like a lot of divorced couples or whatever, but we're not like niched down. So you got to go through a discovery process with each individual person to get exactly what they're looking for. That way, when you get to the end of the conversation, when it's time to make the offer, you know exactly what they're looking for, and you can position it to them as this: your buying the property is the solution, not just a one size fit all solution. Like, hey, we could do cash. I know a lot of y'all watch a lot of videos and y'all know, like, hey, let's do the, we can buy your property all cash as is. It's like, well, my property's in good condition, so I'm not worried about you buying it in as is condition. You don't need to do anything to it. So that wouldn't work to that person. Or I said, all cash and we can close on your property quickly. Oh, I'm not in any rush. Right? Y'all know y'all, well, if y'all got anywhere near in depth in that conversation, you'll get to that point where it's just like you're pitching things in the offer stage that this person doesn't necessarily care about. They're trying to act like everything you say to them does not matter. I'm not in any rush. It was just like, dang, well, usually when I say we can close quickly, that's what the person is so interested on. But what if this person doesn't care about closing quickly? So when you get to the call, to that part of the call where you're making the offer, if you're not offering them something that actually solves their problem, then it's going to be that much harder to get them to agree to a price range or agree to anything, and to get them to actually sign the contract, right? So that's why the body of the call is so important, because here is where you go in depth on understanding your seller and their situation and what exactly it is that they're looking for, right? This is the part where you take your time. Take your time. Get the condition of the property, because also too, another thing is the more you get about the condition of the property, that also too will help you in the end when it comes to negotiation. But negotiation aside, actually get into sign on a dotted line. It's going to be helpful when you can say, here's your problem, here's the solution, right?
Yeah.
And I like it until like this. You ever be scrolling and then you see like an ad, and the ad, like the first 3 seconds of the ad, they're like literally, you think they, or yeah, back in the day, you ever be up late and you see an infomercial. Hey, are you tired of being tired all day? Are you 50 pounds overweight? Do you want to get in shape fast? And you're like, well, yes, I do. And they be like, well, here, we got the answer for you. Boom, P90X. Boom, call us now. Boom. That's what they're doing. What these people have done is they figured out their target avatar or their person. What is the problem that we're trying to solve with our thing, right? And then this is their offer right here is, hey, you got this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem. And the more they go down the list, the more you feel like, dang, they know me. The more detail they can get, the more, if they can have 4 things that they're talking about, you're like, wow. If they had 15 things and they were just like, and they was just like, are you 50 pounds overweight and you're tired all day and you're trying to get in shape and you're an entrepreneur and your name is Byron Scott and you used to be a teacher? Like,
hold on.
Right? And then they say, boom, we got the perfect thing for you, the Byron Scott Getting Shape Fastinator. You be like, right? So essentially, when they do that, that's an offer, that's a pitch, that's a grab you in. They're trying to, and so your job on these calls is, after you get out to the intro and you've established, okay, we can get through here and actually close. The intro is get all of that information, open up, have a conversation, so that way you don't have to try to guess that. You can just talk to them and they'll tell you that. Oh, you got this going on, you got that going on, and this going on, and that going on, and this going on, and that going on, and how is that affecting you? And how is this affecting your family? And this going on, and that going on, and oh, you need to close quick, or oh, you're not concerned with time. You just need to make sure that somebody can buy your property and has this condition. Okay, gotcha. And so I just talked to a guy earlier. He ran out. He was fixing a property. He ran out of money. Boom. How about calling back, man? Well, I understand. All right, you're looking for this. Well, and so that way, when you get into the offer part, now you put it together like, well, I want to make sure this. If Mr. Seller, if we can do this and we can do that, and we can do this and we can do that, and really what you're doing, and I've said this before, you're playing like like back in school where they would have like the definition on one side and the word on the other side, and you would draw a line to it. You know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
It's like you take a test. It's like a vocabulary test, but it's like all the words on one side. All the
match.
Yeah, just match.
It's like a matching quiz. You just draw the lines.
Exactly. And that's really what you want to do. You got all the problems on one side. You got all the benefits that you can offer, whether it's all cash, as is, paying all the closing costs, closing on time, and this is the part that I'm going to get into that I don't think a lot of people talk about this. A lot of people don't talk about the stuff that we do is it might be a contingency that we got to add, right? This is where each person is unique. You talk to them and you figure out, well, listen, actually what it is I want to sell this property. I don't mind selling. I got to move quick, but I'm trying to close on another property. And if I don't close on that property, I don't want to be stuck selling this property. Or I got this situation going on where I'm trying to make the transition. I say, boom, here, let's take the match. That's a problem that you have. Let's match it to this. Boom. What we can do is put a contingency in the purchase agreement that says, Mr. Seller, the sale of this property, the one we're trying to buy, is contingent upon the seller, you finding or closing on his next property, right? And it's just like, dang, that's a solution tailor-made for me. Wow, right? And so once we actually get to the offer part, it's like I've done all my homework. I've digested everything that this person got going on. Now we can even put that, structure that in the paperwork. And as they got problems, while I'm going over the contract with them, which we'll talk about that in a second. While I'm going over the contract, I'm like pointing out, so you said that you had this problem, so that's why we have this written in there right here that says this, this, and this, and this. And you have this concern, so we have this right here and here. And then you have this going on, and you said you're trying to buy another property, boom, 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 boom. I'm doing the match quiz with them. And then once it's time for them to sign, I already asked them, hey, are you the only, I got all the decision makers in play. They already said if we can get everything worked out, we can go ahead and get the process started today. And I figured out all of their biggest concerns and I got them addressed in the paperwork or verbal agreement. It's like, why wouldn't they sign? At that point, they can't not sign, right? They can't not sign. So, and then also too, I do things like we read the contract to them. Like we go over the contract with him. Like stop sending out the contract. And just, dude, that's a crazy question that Zay just asked. But stop sending out the contract, and just letting them sign it and then pray.
I still use Flipman one-page contract. I plan on using that. I download your assignment agreement. I don't use Flipman one-page contract. Now I use Keith Everett's one-page contract. Because it sprinkles some extra sauce on there. You know what I'm saying?
Flipman contract got some crazy stuff in there to say, like, can I market your property or something like that online?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a benefit though.
It could be, but if you're a new dude and you trying to
it's hard to explain. There's a lot of stuff that at first, like when I was using Flipman contract, I was having a hard time explaining to sellers. I had to white a lot of stuff out. Since I started using Keith Everett contract, no whiting out, no nothing. Send it to him. No question. Like, dude, I promise you, I have not had to white anything out. It's like, dude, the contract is solid, and I have never lost any no more earnest money being lost. Zero earnest money lost. So
yeah, you don't even have that contingency in there that's big, you know what I'm saying? He don't have it in there. I saw that contract, Flipman's contract, and it's good. I mean, it will work, but I'm just like, as far as like overall strategy.
So simple, dude. Like, dude, even when Cordero, like he send it, he go over with people. It's like this, I mean, I don't know what you could question too much. It's like, nobody's like, hey, look, that part right here, it makes me feel uneasy. Can you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you just roll right through it.
I'm reading it word for word, slow as this, crystal clear to them. Like, you, the seller, Steve Smith, we, the buyer, and or assigns, and they're like, okay. right?
Yeah.
And contingent upon this, this, and this. Okay. And we have X amount of time to do this. Okay. Like they're cool with it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I marinated the fish off the meat rack. I marinated the meat from the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think that contract is in the course, by the way. If you got that, then you would get that contract. It's a bunch of stuff in there though. So, but dude,
well,
it really did change the game. Do what?
I had one person, well, like two people, but really one person was like, when we sent over, I was like, okay, I think this was actually one of the last people before I would just like start telling them, hey, it's company policy. We're going over it together. There was one lady in Texas where we sent over it, and she was just like, it's only a one pager. That doesn't seem legit. What? And my husband's an attorney and yada, yada, yada. It's like, what? If your husband's an attorney, then he should be able to let you know that this contract is very legit. Because I always encourage people to get it written out. And well, I hadn't got anybody to look at the one contract that Byron used, but the contract that I have is kind of like a custom contract, but it's still a one pager. I've sent it to attorneys. I've sent it to real estate agent vets. I'm talking about 30 years in the business. They were like, looks good. Yeah, I like this actually. It has all the meat and potatoes and it looks pretty good, right? And so just so y'all know, you really could write a contract up on a dinner napkin.
Yeah.
And that could hold up in court. Like a contract is just an agreement. And I don't know about everywhere else. In Tennessee, to a certain extent, a verbal agreement can be held up in court. Like if I gave Byron my word, hey man, I'm gonna do this, it can be held up in court.
He gave me his word that he was gonna buy a camera, a light. I'm about to come to Tennessee, man. We gotta take this to court.
The verbal agreement doesn't, I guess if I have a verbal agreement with you, but I have a written agreement with somebody else, then the written
verbal don't trump written. Yeah.
So, but still, it can still, like, an agreement is an agreement. So that was only one person. That was a one-off. Most people, I've had many people say, oh, it's just a one-pager. Matter of fact, I had one dude just say, dog, do not send me no 10-page nothing. All I need is a simple, this is before I even got to sending him the contract or anything like that. Before I even got there, he was just like, dude, don't send me no King James version. I call it the King James version. Not no old school Sunday school. The hitherto forts whence and thine thither.
You are stupid.
Which may concern and allow.
You are a dog.
Get one of them real estate agent contracts. I'm like, bro, what is y'all? And I don't know, but I'm pretty sure their purpose is to confuse you. Their purpose is to you tell me, if we buy contract purchase agreements all day long, why do they have that sort of verbiage in there? If we do one pagers, and I'm not even just talking about, because I could understand why they have like the disclosures, their added information, like the lead-based paint stuff. Like I can understand that, but why say it like that? Like I've literally heard hitherto forthwith in an actual real estate agent contract. Why do they have it like that? I just want somebody to let me know, other than to just make you look at it and say, all right, I don't feel like reading this. This is confusing. And then they're not even going over the contract with you. They're just like, well, this section here basically says this. This section here basically says this. And this here. Like, dude, nah. We're going over it line by line with you. It's just a one-pager. And so another thing, again, that is a tip to help you get more people to actually sign. Again, assuming you got person, the conversation is going good. You have
you see that? They say we good to go tomorrow.
That's bad news. That's bad news.
But why you say that?
Because for one, he said one. Two, Mika already told me that they're good for one. And I just confirmed with him that one. He was just like, make sure you're on time. He wanted them type sellers. So if they got
at one?
Yeah, at one.
I'll tell him.
Yeah, let him know one. But Mika said she already confirmed with him. She messaged me on there or whatever. see if they can do one, because he was like,
She said that today.
yeah. That when we was on the call earlier, and I was just like, I've been trying to get a hold of her. I checked, but she put it in Podio. She never responded like on the phone, but she did. You know, she's still in Podio doing some stuff.
Oh dang.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know. If Mika, if you're watching this, please have a pina colada for me. Are pina coladas drinks, or they just? I thought it was just the pineapple with the coconut, or is it like definitely an alcoholic drink? They probably know. But again, that's another thing. If you have a good conversation, you got everything that you're looking for, and then you get to the contract part. And what I used to do was just, okay, I'll send you over the contract, and I'll send you over the contract, and just let me know if you have any questions. It's going to say this, and that. So get it signed and give me a call back. And then I would just fingers crossed. Hey, you got a chance? I may call them. Hey, you got a chance to look at that contract? Oh yeah, I'm getting groceries. I'll look at it when I get back to the house, or I'll look at it, or I would send it over. They'd be like, okay, I'm working all week. I'll look at it on Tuesday. It's like, nah, dude, we doing this now. We doing it right now. So we got to get this done right away. So whatever contract you're going to use, you're going to need some sort of online system. Also, too, I mean, obviously you can go to the property. We're not doing that anymore. But if it is some properties we do. I mean, it's rare, but it's like if it's a property, if it's like closed, or the person just really requested, or whatever, you might go to they just want that. We'll go there, but you want to make sure that you got the paperwork with you ready to sign right then and there, right? Likewise, if it's a virtual deal, or is this a deal, for the most part, you need to have some sort of system, right? Signature, DocuSign, DocHub, DocSketch.
Yeah, that's what I started out with. I don't even think it's around no more. But I've actually never gotten a physical contract signed. Never have. Never gotten a physical. Every contract I've done has been, e-signature. That's the only kind I've ever done. So, that is one big thing. You need to be able to put it in the e-signature, set the whole thing up and send it to them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the big things, man. But that's pretty simple. You can figure that out fairly easy. And there's a lot of free ways to send that out when you get ready to do that. So, and like I said, it's like, it doesn't matter where the person is. You can send the e-signature and get it done, and get everything wrapped up, man. Same thing for the buyer. So like, that's all I've ever done, like literally. So every time I try to go out to a property and get it signed in person, the deal fell through. Like, it never worked out. So, and I don't know why. So I just was like, shoot, man, from now on, I just e-signature. And we started to do where we go over the contract on the phone with the seller, just to make sure there's no questions, make sure nothing's falling through the cracks, make sure that we actually get them under contract. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we do now. It's like setting an appointment to sign, right? We're not just going to send you this offer just because we just send you an offer. We are sending you this offer to sign it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, man, I've gotten a physical contract signed a few times. I don't think I ever had them close either, but no, I have. I can remember one time like very vividly, and I think maybe like my first deal I got that one physically signed, and another one. So yeah, I got a couple of them that physically signed and signed. I remember this one Hispanic couple. I had to go and go over everything line by line and everything like that. You know what I mean? Breaking it down. This was actually was working with a realtor, so I used the standard Tennessee real estate form, and it was like, boy, that was like reading the First Corinthians or something like that. First and Second Corinthians. But yeah, so now we definitely do that. And you do not want to commit to a person. You don't want to commit to a person with a contract You don't want to. I mean, excuse me. You don't want to commit to a person with a price unless they're ready to. Don't commit to a seller who's not willing to commit to you, and don't send out a contract to a seller who's not ready to sign it. Well, just send it over, and I'll look at it when I get a chance. And this is what I say every time. Well, Mr. Seller, actually, it's company policy that we go over it when we send it out, so that way we can make sure that if you have any questions or concerns, they can be addressed right there. And we want to make sure that we explain everything. I go over it with you line by line. It only takes like 7 minutes to do that, 7-10 minutes, and we can get it done. So just let me know whenever works for you. And even with the toughest of sellers, like that's pretty understandable. And then we go over it. We just got a one pager, so it only takes like 7 minutes. All right, so it's nothing. It's nothing. But do that. Like, get you one of those things. Like, if you use Podio, I think Right Signature comes with Podio, but it's Podio's built-in, contract signature feature. But then you can get DocHub, you can get DocuSign, get one of those. I don't know how much they cost. Honestly, I don't know how much it is, but
yeah, it's real cheap. Somebody on IG said, "Have y'all done pre-foreclosure deals?" I'm actually working on a pre-foreclosure deal like right now. I've done one before where we close like super quick. Yeah, I've done pre-foreclosure deals. Like I said, I'm working on a pre-foreclosure / probate deal right now, which is stupid. Like they don't go together, pre-foreclosure and probate. But hey, we getting it done though.
Hey, life is crazy. Life is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. People got issues, and as long as you can solve them, you can walk away with the bag, man. So
yeah, for sure. I've done some pre foreclosures. I never like targeted, and I think maybe that's what this person is asking. Like, I never targeted pre foreclosure. It's just like we target based upon areas that the buyers are buying in, and then from there, it's just like if you come up and you're in pre foreclosure, and we can solve your problem, you walk away with the bag, right? Yeah. And it is a lot of times pre foreclosure is about speed. Because you're trying to close before the next stage in the foreclosure process. Oftentimes, it's right before the auction, which is the final stage for that person. It's like that's really because you can get foreclosed on, and then you got like 3 weeks before some whatever time before they auction your house off, and it's different for every area, every situation, so on and so forth. So a lot of times, the solution to something like that is just speed and convenience. And then you got to have a good title company or just a good transactional coordination process to where, because if you don't have a good title company, you'll be handling a lot of this, but you need to be reaching out to the lender, the foreclosed company, the auction company. Hey, you need to know exactly the payoff amount that this person needs, down to the penny, the date that they're going to get auctioned off or foreclosed on, or whatever the next step in the process that they're trying to avoid. You need to know all of that information, and that needs to be in precise communication to get this done. Because if you off by a day, and if you off by a certain amount, you're gonna get to the closing table, and it's not gonna solve the seller's problem. It's actually gonna put them in worse situation. And a lot of times the seller doesn't know these things off the top of their head. That's why they're in a situation. Like, I don't know how much I owed. I just stopped paying a couple months ago. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the amount is, so on and so forth. So either your title company needs to be getting on top of that information to make sure that you're good to go to the closing table, or you be working with a title company. It's like, hey, can you reach out to call this person and call that person, and you spend all day on the phone with the mortgage. I think that's crazy, but but that's kind of what foreclosures look like. But to the general point that Byron made is like, stop. I hear people saying, yeah, I want to do this deal, but they got this going on and they got that going on. And well, actually they about to get foreclosed on. So that's a problem, right? So that's where the money is. Hey, what did Jeezy say? What did Jeezy say?
Big said at first, more money, more problems. The way I see it, more problems, more money.
You know what I mean?
More problems, more money.
Yeah. More problems, more money, dude. Because
that's part of the closing. I think Cordero was talking about. It's like you list out their problems. You know what I'm saying? And then you like, okay, all that can be wiped out. We can wipe your slate clean, but you got to take this 150K pill. You know what I'm saying? I got this magic pill right here that you gotta take it though. You know what I'm saying?
Byron quick and tell them what type of medicine they about to have. You need to take this
You gotta take that medicine, man.
You want 200? Okay. Because that's what the sellers be thinking. Just like I got all of these problems. I need you to solve, and I want the most money. I want more money. I want all of the money. I need you to close before a realtor can, before a traditional buyer can, faster and with cash, no contingencies, and buy as is. And I need it now. And I needed all the money. And I needed more than what they're gonna pay. Because I could just list it on the market. Yeah, I know you can, but you can't list it on the market and solve all of these problems, buddy. Buckaroo. And so it's about being patient with the person, being patient and taking your time to really understand what they got going on. And then when you get to the end, it's just like recap and just saying, hey, you got this going on, you got this going on. If we could, then it's about what I call the hypothetical positioning, right? Because now it's if then. Actually, I'm doing that at the top of the call. If we can get everything that you're looking for, is there any reason why we couldn't get the process started today? Right? And you're like this childlike curiosity, that like, is there, how would that make you feel, Mr. Seller? And then you get to the end of the call, it's just like, okay, Mr. Seller, if I'm understanding you correctly, you got all of this going on. If we could solve that problem, if we could do this and we could do that, and if we could get you closing your timeline, then would you be totally opposed to moving forward at 125? Would you be completely opposed to moving to taking this 125 pill? You know what I mean?
There's 125 pill for sure. So what are you looking for? What states? I'm mainly in like Georgia, and then we're in Tennessee and in Texas. But in Georgia, we definitely doing at least 3 bedrooms, at least 1.5 bath. I want to stay newer than 1980, at least 1,100 square feet. And other than that, man, send it over, man, and we see what we can do. But anything else in Tennessee, anything else in Texas is good. And really, we're nationwide now at this point, so we can do a deal anywhere you got it. Just hit us up. So somebody else I think on IG said, will you work on an auction list with the foreclosure? I got somebody that's actually going to auction right now. They're supposed to go on auction on the 31st, and we trying to get that junk done. So we working on one now. Do we help them sell the property? Well, they're selling the property through us, right? We're bringing the buyer, and they're selling the property. So it's kind of how we do it. But yeah, man. That's how you close, though, man. That's how you close on the seller. Cordero's been closing people. He's king closer, cleaner. I don't know how I did that. Like, I ain't know nothing about sales. I ain't know nothing about closing. I ain't know nothing about how to, like, I ain't watched no videos on how to talk to sellers. I didn't watch none. Zero.
Because that's not necessarily true. And we've talked about this before, just kind of like, like you talk with students, parents, teachers, and I would introduce two concepts. One is the Seller Be Sold by Grant Cardone, where essentially in that book, he's just breaking down just like we're selling all the time.
Yeah, so everybody's in sales.
Yeah, everybody's in sales. You told me, you said it yesterday on the live, it's like you felt very confident that you could get a girlfriend in high school.
Yeah.
That's like saying I feel very confident I can get somebody to sign a contract. Like that's the same thing. It's a sales process. You have to picture, hey, I'm the solution to whatever I'm what you're looking for. Right. And it's not always as simple as you have a problem, I'm the solution, but it's like you have a want and I'm what you want. You have a need and I'm what you need. And it's just like, that's what it looks like. And then also another idea I would introduce is the fact that before reading any book, before you watch any sales courses, because I was reading books and watching sales and I was trash. I learned it from you will learn more from your first 100. Now, I heard somebody say, it might have, no, it was several people. It was Alex Mosley, and I think Grant Cardone said this, and some other
I
people.
just watched it. I know you about to say.
What you'll learn more from
Your
but I heard,
nose.
huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you'll learn more from your first 1,000 sales calls than you will from reading any book. Period. Like from anything that you learn from actually doing it and going through that, it's like you're gonna learn from that more than you would from reading anything. And so it's just like to say, like, well, I never had that. It's just like, well, actually doing it with the right intentions behind what you're doing, you realize it's not even about, it's not even about, I don't think it's about like being a sales genius. And that's one thing I think made the ultimate difference between me trying to figure out sales and being trash and then actually getting good at it. But going from an order taker to my always be closing mindset, right?
Yeah.
What was the major difference was I had to put away all the stuff that I learned from the books and watched in the videos. And I had to take a more organic approach to it. And I was just like, how about instead of trying to say the perfect sales pitch, how about I just be a human being and be me on the phones? And with the right intentions and I'm intending to solve the problem, then that's just a normal conversation. We do that all the time. It's like if you gotta go get something to eat, then you gotta check with the house and see what everybody, what you want to eat? What you in the mood for? Well, what you got a taste for? I'm saying it's just a simple ask questions. Well, okay, you said you got a taste for this. I'm gonna go get this. Like that's pretty or natural. We do that all the time, and that's what got me to a point where I was just like, all right, I'm better at this.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And Alex Hormozi was talking about like I know a lot of people fear getting no's or they get discouraged when they get no's. Alex Hormozi was talking about getting no's is the job. You know what I mean? It's like you know when you're reaching out to people, when you're talking to people, it's like in sales, getting no's is the job. Like that's the job. Like you're gonna get no's. You got to talk to that person. You got to keep talking to enough people to come across somebody, even if they say no, they still might be interested. They just don't know that you the person that can solve their problem. You know what I'm saying? So don't get discouraged when you get no's. That's part of the job. Like that is the job, to go out and get a bunch of no's, right? And then let people know the service that you're providing, and then they don't even know that the service you provide might be the answer to what they're looking for. So that's why you got to follow up with people, constantly following up. So like that's the key to this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? But shoot, man, we've been on this thing for dang near an hour, man. We gave y'all an hour of time. You know what I'm saying? And man, broke down how to go ahead and get people on the contract, start doing this wholesale business, man. But y'all comment, let us know what you want to see, us doing. Comment on the YouTube video. If you're on IG, go over to YouTube, comment on the video, like this video, all the other good stuff, man. But y'all let us know what you want to see, what y'all want to hear us talking about. We can bring it to you. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow we definitely want to do a live cold call role play, right? And
get ready to go on and call in. We're gonna put the number up. Want some of y'all to call in, and we can go over. I think honestly, man, I think Chris calling in, dude, he gave some feedback. On it, so that'll let us know what we need to talk about more, what we need to maybe help out. Because again, dog, I've been in rooms like that where it's just me versus him, and he's like, well, actually, and really, I'm telling you what I do. He's telling you what he's seen. Some people like you're not stating what you know, you're stating what you heard, and that's the difference, right? And I'm only, we can tell you what we know because we actively doing this. We getting deals, we're closing deals, and we're trying to help you. It's just like, Byron's always on my head about getting a camera because it's going to help more. Like we ain't getting a camera for our health. I mean, we're not just doing this for fun, actually. You know what I mean? We're not taking an hour out of our day to away from all the deals that we could be getting and working on and all this stuff, just because we want to be celebrities. I promise you not. We want to get to a point where we can help and all the stuff, you know what I'm saying? We crawl so you can walk. You know what I mean? All the stuff that we done been through, what if we could help? Because I think we see a lane where you got some of the GOATs is talking about just stuff that I don't feel like is realistic or practical, or that seems like they're a little bit more disconnected and they're pushing their brand, but they still, you know, I think they're the GOATs still in my eyes. And then you got some other people that's out here doing it. They're not talking about it. It's like, what if we gave you some real solid ideas? I challenge you to find anybody out there that's giving you as much information that we are. Like the actual details of the information. They might give you broad general direction. We're giving you real details. And so we taking our time and getting feedback from y'all is how we help, you know, we understand what we're doing. So if you call in, it lets us know or lets me know, like, okay, this is what people have trouble with when they think about talking to sellers.
Yeah, and comment too. You know what I'm saying? Comment on the video. Go to YouTube, comment on the videos, man, because then we'll know, oh, dang, yeah, that's what we need to talk about. Like, people didn't understand that, or people didn't get that, or when I was talking about that, they didn't understand what I was saying, or when Cordero said this in that live, it's like, dang, oh, they didn't get that. So we can go back and talk about that and break that stuff down, and you know what I'm saying? So make sure you let us know kind of what kind of what you might need to know, what you might be confused on, what you need to be explained a little bit further and stuff like that. Like, we hear from y'all every single day. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to ask your questions, get them answered, and go out here and get going, man. You know what I'm saying? So
that's right. That's right. And you can always hit us up in the meantime, in between time on IG. You can hit me up on IG. I'll respond. You hit Byron up on IG. He's Hollywood.
Whatever, dude. Whatever, man.
Fine, you know, he might. Not just playing. I be texting him. He don't even answer my text. Not just playing. Not just playing. I'm just playing. But yeah, definitely hit us up if y'all have any questions that we can help. But thank y'all. I mean, shout out to y'all, man, tuning in every day.
Shout out to Gucci. But shoot, all right, man. We better get out of this thing. Appreciate y'all, man. Peace out.